Hey, wasn't this video just uploaded yesterday? Yeah. Yeah, it was. And I'm updating it already because of some editing errors and the fact that you can indeed use other weapons aside from Morgan's Throne Axe for this. Anyways, it's Frank, and here is my revised AFK Pthentraken guide. If you'd like to skip the video and just read the text version, it will be linked in the description below. For this guide, you'll want the following action bar and setup. Your weapon can either be a Hex Hunter bow, superior blowpipe, or dual-wield weapons at tier 88 or better. This includes Morgan's Throne Axes, Javelins, Ascension crossbows, and Blightbound crossbows. If using a Hex Hunter bow, splintering arrows are recommended, and you can replace fragmented shot on the action bar with Salt the Wound. If you don't wish to use those arrows though, any other arrow type will work fine. You also won't need a task, Necklace of Salamancy, or even greater ricochet with Hex Hunter, as you will be 100% accuracy with high damage regardless. If not using a Hex Hunter bow though, you'll want all of those things as well as the Corroming 4 perk on one of your weapons. The lack of accuracy really hurts you here, so you need as much damage as you can get. For your other gear, simply follow the preset shown on the screen. Most of this stuff is a hard requirement, and I'll go over some key things and reasonings here. Necklace of Salamancy is your best in slot amulet here. The damage and accuracy buffs help make the setup way more consistent, especially if not using a Hex Hunter bow. It can be safely replaced with an Essence of Finality if using the Hex Hunter, but you'll see much lower consistency with it if using dual-wield weapons or a blowpipe. Your weapons should either be a Hex Hunter bow or one of the options mentioned previously. Hex Hunter will work just fine with budget perks, but every other one will lean quite a bit on having Corroming 4 at the very least. Power Armor with Absorptive 4 and Crystal Shield 4 are needed both for the damage stats and passive mitigation through those perks. I mentioned Bulwark in the last video, but it is fairly optional when compared to the other two, and Pernix Armor or better is recommended for this. Vampirism Aura is your best in slot choice here, since the extra healing makes it a bit safer and will add extra damage through your Blood Reaver. I haven't tested it with other auras, but I'm sure other ones will probably be safe, especially with the Hex Hunter bow. The rune pouches are required for casting Prism of Restoration, Spellbook Swap, and Telegraph. These are needed to heal your Blood Reaver and to loot without disrupting your position, as moving from it can mess up kills. A Blood Reaver and 200 or more scrolls are brought to provide damage and healing throughout the trip. The scrolls need to be stored in your familiar with the auto fire rate set to 16, providing the healing that's required to sustain yourself throughout. Several pouches are brought along just in case you forget to heal your Reaver though. The archaeology relics used for this are Fury of the Small, Conservation of Energy, and Persistent Rage. Conservation of Energy can be replaced if you have the Ring of Vigor passive ability unlocked, and Persistent Rage can be substituted for an Adrenaline Urn. Just keep in mind that if you do use the urn, you'll likely run out of Adrenaline within 30 minutes of being in the instance. And while it's not explicitly shown in the preset, you will want to be on a Dinosaur Slayer task, especially if you're not using a Hex Hunter bow. It's fine if you're using the weapon since you'll be at 100% accuracy anyway, but using any other weapon type, it will hard lean on having this task, otherwise you simply will not deal enough damage and you will get killed. Once you're all sorted on that front, you can actually start AFKing the boss. Activate all of your buffs and relevant items, enter the instance, climb into the boss room, and quickly start running southeast towards Pthentraken's spawn. Surge twice such that you're south of the boss, and move a tile at a time closer if you aren't immediately aggroed. If, and only if, you're using a superior Morgan's Throne Axe, you'll also need to turn your run off here. If you don't do this, your placement will get messed up and you will die to an overcharge. Once you're settled, just remember to check in on your buff timers, loot, and Reaver health. You'll only need to cast Prism of Restoration once per 5 minutes, and when you need to loot, just make sure that you use Telegrab either through Spellbook Swap or through Borrowed Power. And that's about it for this guide. Sorry for such a short time frame between updating this guide. There are a few oversights that I just really couldn't ignore between some of the editing errors that I had made and also being shown how the south wall makes it possible with other weapons. I just needed to revise this as soon as possible. Huge shoutouts to my friend Miani for helping with the bar and setups, and to Big Archive for pointing out that you can literally just stand south and you don't need a super niche weapon to make this work. So that's it. Thank you for watching and happy AFKing.